What's your message to Pacers fans?
Y'all are really nice, and I appreciate you coming down and hanging out, but
Okay, we are here with Thunder superfan Garrett Haviland, aka Thundor. Thank you so much for joining us today. So I want to start with how you sort of got into this character as the superfan.
I've been born and raised in Oklahoma, so I've been waiting my entire life for a professional sports franchise to come to Oklahoma. And so I was 22 years old when the Thunder came. They had an ultimate fan competition. And so I think all those 22 years of anticipation just kind of exploded onto the scene. And out comes Thundor, right?
Could you sort of tell me about what your favorite moment as a Thunder fan has been over these past number of years?
The first time that I felt like the Thunder really arrived onto the national scene was when they were playing the eventual champion, the Lakers. And, they're a massive underdog. And when the Thunder tied that series up 2-2 at home, that's probably the first time in my life I can remember Bricktown being like a hub of entertainment and fun. And going out that night is a night that I'll never forget. The feeling I had leaving that arena, feeling like we can hang with the big dogs, was an amazing feeling. I've danced like I've never danced before that night, so I totally enjoyed every minute of that. And then the way that they lost that series on a clutch putback by Pau Gasol in the waning seconds, I was front and center for that. And watching Collison not get that rebound still plays in these minds today. It's something that I've thought about many a times every time we get into a playoff run. And, instead of being defeated and upset that the Thunder lost in 6 and the crowd, leaving, the crowd stayed and they gave the guys a standing ovation. And I think the atmosphere there was kind of established in that first playoff run. Of course, 2012 winning the Western Conference Championship on home court, watching Kevin Durant go and hug his mom and embrace in tears. That was a really special moment, even though, since then it's kind of soured. But now, something I've been saying all year long is that this team, this season, feels different. Anybody who asks me, man, how do you feel like the team's doing? What do you think about this? My general consensus answer is it just feels different. It feels special. And it feels like the time is now. The door is open. The Thunder just need to run through it.
Do you remember sort of learning when you were 22 when the Supersonics were moving to OKC to become the Thunder? Do you remember learning that news and how you felt then?
Yeah, it definitely was very bittersweet. I know that from my end, it was nothing but adulation and excitement. But I could also imagine what it would be to lose a team that has been so beloved by the people of Seattle. And I know that it still sets rough with them today.
Talking about that early team with Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden, obviously all of them went on to win MVPs. Kevin Durant won it with Oklahoma City. How would you compare the feeling of that sort of young core to this one with SGA and J-Dub and Chet right now?
Being here in Oklahoma City when that young core was developing, there was a lot of camaraderie and excitement behind it. But you'd also get some of these little secondhand accounts of some turmoil or some jealousy between the players, and it just wasn't quite the tight-knit group that we have now. And I think if you want to compare 2012 to this season, that's where you got to start, is the camaraderie and the togetherness. And I think that the 2012 team definitely had that to some degree. By no means do I think they were fighting in the locker room or anything, but I do think there was this thought in the back of their minds, right? Because Harden wanted to be the band. He wanted to have his own team eventually. You have Russ and KD who are kind of who's going to be the hero of the day. And that's what they often called it back then, is hero ball. It wasn't team ball. And now Oklahoma City is playing that. Sure, we have the MVP on the team. We have a tremendous leader in SGA, but he's going to make sure everybody gets theirs. Everybody's going to pitch in. You got people like Wiggins who are willing to not play one game and then come in and drop 20 on somebody. So you have this understanding. Everybody knows their role. They're willing to play it for the ultimate goal of the championship.
You've interacted with a number of different players, especially when they're at the free throw line. What have been some sort of notable interactions that you've had with players that just kind of come to mind?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I think about like the free throw defense that we play here in Oklahoma City and the impact that we have, my first thoughts always go to the players who are visibly laughing. Like if I got somebody straight up laughing, then I know that I'm in their head, that they're watching me. And I've only had that happen a handful of times. And those players that's happened to are Kenyon Martin when he played for the Nuggets, Damian Wilkins when he played for the Hawks, Dwight Howard throughout his career. But I've mentioned it before, the problem with Dwight Howard is that I think he probably shot better free throw percentages when he came to Oklahoma City than he did for his entire career, because he enjoyed that camaraderie. Like it's like he wanted to make his free throws more because he saw some fat jolly guy trying to distract him. So I kind of appreciated that, and every time he'd hit a free throw, he'd give me a wink and a smile. So, there is some of that give and take with some of the players.
Yeah, I can see how you have that back and forth with some of the goofier guys in the NBA. As far as your belly paintings, you're famous for them at this point. What are some that stick out to you?
If you were like to give a top 10 ranking of like Thundor's belly painting, I'm pretty sure that anything that's been painted by Chase Dryden, my old college roommate who's now a tattoo artist at the Oklahoma Tattoo Collective, I'm sure he probably takes, 6 or 7 of the top 10 paintings are his, because he's the most gifted artist that I know personally. And he probably takes the #1 spot with the Kobe belly painting that he did. And we decided that we were going to do, a little nod to Kobe during his last away game, because he came to Oklahoma City for his last away game of his career. And, he had a storied career. He can be debated as one of the GOATs of the game. And so we did farewell. Then we had Kobe when he's biting his jersey, and we had the Black Mamba symbol on there. And the detail that Chase was able to capture in that belly painting was really amazing. And then that belly painting went, super viral. I mean, it's probably the most that my phone has ever blown up, or that my social media has ever gone crazy. I mean, you look at the introduction to Sports Center, CBS Sports, USA Today, on and on and on. Just everybody, had an image of that Kobe belly painting. And then for Kobe to sadly pass away a few years later, the whole farewell idea kind of carried a really deep dual meaning. And so that belly paint is always going to be up there in the top belly paints that I've ever had done, for sure. It's kind of crazy that it was to honor an opposing player, which is kind of weird. But, I think that speaks to Kobe and his impact on the game. Outside of that, it goes to like a lot of my holiday belly paintings, whether it's Easter themed or Valentine's Day, Halloween. Those are ones that I typically will try to bring up during the regular season to really kind of pop. So those have always been pretty fun. And then my personal favorite, just because of when the NBA was pushing the whole big moments happen here, and it was BIG and the I was the NBA logo. I got that painted on me, and I always really liked that belly painting, that picture. I'm a big guy. I got the word big on my belly. It just fit really well. So, thanks NBA for thinking of me when you were making up your big slogan. I appreciate that.
I want to talk a little bit about your work outside of being Thundor. It's my understanding that you're a behavioral health worker. And then could you talk a little bit about that, and then kind of how the emotionality of it kind of corresponds with your being a super fan?
Sure. So I work with individuals with developmental disabilities. I work with them and their staff. I do staff trainings. I work with the individuals. I work with their families. And so one of the core aspects of what we do is to make sure that we preach self-care. Far too often in life, we get caught up with all the things going on around us, and we don't really take time for ourselves. And so as an advocate for self-care and somebody who's always trying to teach coping skills and ways to handle emotions, being Thundor is like the ultimate version of self-care for me. It's my way of literally changing out of my work clothes, putting on a whole new persona, and getting out whatever frustrations or difficulties I've had throughout the day or in my life, and just being able to really cut loose. And so, I always use that if I'm speaking about self-care or coping skills, like, hey guys, it can get weird. It doesn't have to be your deep breathing or, going and getting a massage. It can get, strange. Whatever it fits for you, as long as it works for you. As long as it works and it's safe, then go for it, Thundor's kind of born out of that. Also, I always used humor to kind of deflect the bullies and everything growing up. And so what better way than to take the thing that the bullies made fun of me for being a bigger guy, and then now use that kind of like my superpower, right? So it's been a wild ride, and it's been really weird kind of psychoanalyzing myself for sure over the years, no doubt.
In your assessment, would you prefer prime Kevin Durant or SGA now?
It's really kind of hard, without having a time machine and going back and asking myself in 2012 the same question. But, I'm going to take SGA over the snake all day.
What would you say is the aspect that scares you the most about the Pacers right now?
Oh, it's clutch time Halliburton. That is a scary idea in and of itself. The entire team, when it comes to being crunch time, they just turn it up a whole nother notch. You've seen it the entire playoffs. And unfortunately, the Thunder had to see it firsthand in Game 1.
Is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander a free throw merchant?
Absolutely not. When you're leading the league in drives, when your usage rate is as high as it is, you're going to get hacked, you're going to get hit. And then you look at the overall comparison to the amount of free throws he shoots versus other greats in the game, and he's not up there at the top. So,
what's your message to Pacers fans?
Y'all are really nice, and I appreciate you coming down and hanging out, but you're gonna lose.
And then can we get one quick whoop from you?
Oh, absolutely. Whoop.